Hi, this is 10-Minute Bill with the 10MinuteBible.com, doing an exegetical outline of 1 Peter 4, 10 through 11. As each one has received a gift or a bestowment of grace, charis is the word for grace, charisma is the word for usually translated gift, minister or serve it to one another, as or like or in accordance with being good stewards of the manifold grace of God. So the gift is actually grace. Then you have a parenthetical statement that says if anyone speaks, this is added, let him speak is added. If anyone speaks as the oracles of God, so you have to supply some things. So speak as the oracles of God would speak is the way I think makes a lot of sense. Otherwise you have the person actually giving more additional revelation. So speak scripturally in accordance with the words that God provides. And if you minister or serve, do it with the ability that God provides as well. So using like as the translation for all these kind of matches, although in accordance with sometimes fits better. Then you have a hina plus a subjunctive, that in all things God may be glorified by means of Jesus Christ. And then to whom belong the glory, dominion, forever and ever. That's either God or Jesus, God the Father, or just plain old God. So you have a verbal proposition, how you do it, purpose in doing it. Relatively simple. The outlining gets a little difficult on these if anyone speaks parts, but let's take a look at that. So in a bigger section, chapter 4 began with the way or manner in which believers should arm themselves. It's basically have a Christ-like willingness to suffer for the benefit of others and to eventually get glory. When God glorifies us, He gets glorified as well. Our passage here is summarized this way. The manner in which Christ-like believers should have a Christ-like mindset in doing God's will is by sound-mindedly, loving, and our passage goes to serving one another with God's grace so that God gets glorified. Relatively simple as well. Okay, so our text, we're going to start with a verbal proposition. Believers should minister grace to one another. The ones who should minister grace are those who have received grace. Yeah, that's not that difficult. And then the manner in which you should minister grace is as good stewards of God's grace. So verbal proposition, the ones who, and the manner. Then the tricky part is this parenthetical statement. This is summarizing the two of them. So I'll drop down to them and then come back. Someone speaks, and then the manner in which you should speak is in accordance with how the oracles of God speak. Basically, it's speaking scripturally in accordance with the Scripture. Someone serves, the manner in which you should serve is in accordance with the ability that God provides. So these guys summarize to here, these guys summarize to here, and the two of these are going to summarize to this point. The manner in which believers should be good stewards of God's grace, it's right up here, is by speaking and serving with God's provision. Those are going to summarize to this. The manner in which believers should minister grace to one another is as good stewards of the manifold grace of God, whether speaking scripturally or serving strongly. And then that's going to summarize up to here. Bringing in this additional element, which we're going to go find right now, of God being glorified. So, God should be glorified. The sphere in which God should be glorified is in all things. The means by which God should be glorified is through Jesus Christ as we live under His headship or something along those lines. And there was one more point on there. It's the one who is glorified is the one to whom all glory and dominion are supposed to be given. These guys summarize into the purpose statement. Purpose in serving each other with God's grace is so that God is glorified in all things. So pulling all those guys together, sound-mindedly from A, lovingly from B, and serving from C down below. And then we bring that final purpose statement so that God is glorified. I do God's will, these three aspects of doing His will, so that God gets glorified. See you next time.